Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from keyboardimprov.com, and welcome to our journey through the real book, number 229, which is The Beatles, Michelle. We're going through this one at a time, in order. It's the real book, volume 1, 6th edition, for C instruments, in my case, playing piano. So what is a Beatles song doing in the real book? And there's two. Yesterday is in here as well. Well, if you think about it, the original real book was written or compiled in the early 1970s by undergraduate students at the Berklee College of Music, sort of as a side project, just to put together a bunch of tunes that they liked playing. And they called it the real book to distinguish it from the usual fake books. Faking just mean, okay, we have a lead sheet and we kind of make up the accompaniment, sort of fake it, right? Fake it till you make it, right? And they used a play on words, real as opposed to fake, because they were saying, these are the tunes that we like playing now, and also, even more importantly, I think at the time, these are the chords that we like to use. And not that all the chords were always perfect in the original one, or even the new one, but that's what happens with jazz. Each generation could be almost defined by the chords they use to standards, and the chords to standards were changed right away often. All of Me, for instance. This is just a fun little topic here. So at the end of All of Me, it's a 2-5-1. Why not take all of me, right? D minor 7 to G7 to C. Well, the original was D minor 7 flat 5. And it was an A flat in the melody. Why not take all of me? So it kind of brought that sweetness in there, sort of a melancholy in the melody and in the chords. And nobody's played that since the 30s. It's really interesting. It was originally composed like that. I think the first recording or two had that in it. And then right afterwards, if you listen to recordings made right after the tune, when was it written? 1930, 32, somewhere in there. It very soon got changed. So when sometimes people say the real book doesn't have the right chords in it sometimes, it might be true sometimes. Maybe there's chords that most jazz musicians use that are not here. But sometimes this has chords that people use that, say, iReal Pro doesn't have. In that case, that would be, iReal Pro would have the wrong chords from that point of view, right? But if you look at it in that each generation basically kind of finds some chords they like on standards and plays it like that, it's a fluid process, and it has been since the 30s, which we learned from All of Me. In any case, so they made the real book to kind of be the current versions of not only the tunes themselves, but the repertoire of tunes. These are the tunes that we, in Boston, at the Berklee College of Music, in the early 70s, liked to play. And they didn't just want the tunes from the 30s, 40s, and 50s that traditional fake books had. Some of them are in here, but they put a lot of modern songs. The 60s were still relatively fresh in their minds, right? The Beatles had just broken up a couple of years earlier than the real book was compiled, so they put a couple of Beatles tunes in because they liked playing it. It was very fresh. It's almost like if we made a real book now and put a contemporary pop tune that had nice chords that were not just nice chords, but chords that could be used in a jazzy way, like My Future by Billie Elish. That can be played jazzy. I made a video of it once, playing it jazzy. And it's beautiful. It sounds like a Billie Holiday tune or something. That could be in a contemporary real book. But at the time, they put in Michelle. Mystery solved. All right, so Michelle is also an unusual Beatles song, at least for when it came out. This is sort of early middle period Beatles. It's after they started by being a kind of typical, well, not typical, they were never typical, but they were a rock and roll band playing pop and rock songs, American pop rock songs in their own, like I Want to Hold Your Hand, what's the other one? American songs like Twist and Shout. I Saw Her Standing There, and that's what I was thinking of. At the same time, the Beatles always played softer repertoire as well. They did Till There Was You from The Music Man. There were birds in the clouds, da, 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 Till There Was You, sort of a ballady bossa nova, light pop kind of thing. and their own tunes like All My Lovin'. Always kind of liked that older style as well, particularly Paul McCartney. And Paul McCartney has, from time to time, wrote songs, composed songs that were in the style of older music. When I'm 64, Honey Pie, things like that, that sounded more like music from the 20s or 30s. He loves that stuff. He cited Cheek to Cheek by Irving Berlin as one of his favorite songs. Although he said it was Cole Porter. Paul, if you're watching this, Irving Berlin. Michelle, it's in that style. It's just beautiful. Kind of a 2-beat. Uses a diminished chord. Diminished chords, something that McCartney and the other Beatles have always liked. There's a lot of diminished chords in their music, particularly later on. And the form, it's interesting, because even though it's written in the style of a older popular song, we might call it the classic Great American Songbook now, although they were doing it in Europe too. It doesn't have that AABA form, which Yesterday, for instance, does have. I Will, another one, does have. This is more like it's not quite verse-chorus, but it's like chorus-bridge, and that's it. The chorus is the Michelle, my belle, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then it's kind of like a bridge. I love you, I love you, I love you, da-da-da-da-da-da. It's very short. It's almost like a folk song in that way, with verse, chorus, but in this case, I'd say the chorus is first and then sort of a bridgy part. So we have to make something of this as we're playing, because it's very repetitive, it's very charming, it's got that French phrase in the lyric and everything. I think the story is that when McCartney was a teenager, he came up with that, and he'd sort of go up to girls at parties and sing this French song to them and hope to impress them that way. In any case, it's a great song, very charming. And when I played McCartney's sort of old school kind of jazzy numbers, I like to make them more like a swing. I'll use stride piano. You can use a 2-beat, like the recording, but I also like going, maybe some walking tenths in there. Sort of treat it like jazz musicians in the 30s, like Fats Waller and Art Tatum and Teddy Wilson, would have treated material from the 30s, because it sounds like a 30s tune. So that's just where we can come from with the tune. So we understand where McCartney was coming from when he composed it, how it's composed, the form, how it relates to other songs in the historical timeline. It's written in the 60s, but well, it might have been written in the, I guess, early 60s when he was a teenager, and then certainly published in the 60s and recorded, but it evokes an earlier time. So we understand it now in a better way, and now we can approach it. I like starting out of tempo, and I like sort of a little minor, F minor intro kind of thing, evoking maybe, the bridge here, which is in F minor, and, maybe I'll do this part, this. Sort of expand upon that with some, just a nice little out-of-tempo intro, like I would in a cabaret or like a 30s lounge or something, nice intro, kind of semi-romantic, and then just see where it takes me. It's got a beautiful ending. They wrote out George Harrison's guitar solo here. Very lyrical, sort of Django Reinhardt inspired. Beatles were influenced by that kind of stuff too. So here we go. Start out of tempo, get into a stride at some point, and then see how an improvisation develops. It's not AABA, so we can't do these long solos that follow that form. So I'll have to see where this takes me. And I'm going to treat it kind of fluidly. I might play the bridge twice in a row. I'm not sure. You can do that when we're playing solo piano, right? something happened at the end which was fascinating. I've been playing this since I was like 17 years old, and at a lot of cocktail parties and when I'm playing in restaurants and things like that. I played this many times over the years, hundreds of times, and I always end on F. I end with, and I end on the tonic. And this time though, I just kept repeating that C, B diminished 7, C, B diminished 7 so many times. It's sort of like a 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. Or at least tonic, dominant, tonic. The 7, diminished 7 is a dominant function. And it just, C became the tonic at the end. Not a secondary dominant anymore, but it just sounded like the tonic. So I ended there. I never even got to F at the end. Fascinating how it's almost like not an optical illusion, but a hearing illusion. A-U-R-A-L, oral illusion or something. It just, C became the tonic after a while. Felt like home plate, so I just went with it. So give it a try. It's a fun tune if you approach it. Well, any way you approach it, it's a fun tune. But we can do a lot of fun things with it if we approach it from a jazz point of view, not necessarily a bebop point of view. It's an older style, so maybe even try bebop on it. We can do anything we want with these. That's the fun with taking these tunes and personalizing them. See how you want to play it and explore different ways. So thanks for joining me here. Next week we do another, or whenever. I've been doing 2 a week now. Joe Zylanol from Weather Report in his pre-Weather Report days, Midnight Mood. So we'll look at that next. Good luck with your own journey through not just the real book, but your music. If you're interested in some free stuff and my video course and everything, you can check it out down below. Help you learn whatever you're learning, step by step, but in a way from understanding it so you go much farther. Good luck with your own music, and see you in the next video.